Hello.
Hello. So how is that wildcard looking?
Wildcard is looking fantastic, bro. I use my wildcard for my team as well and Neelam's team as well. So, double dhamaka. And both our teams are different.
That's great.
Whatever
That's
I
like
could
an
buy for my team, I bought it for Neelam's team.
so you have a team full of differentials going on the side.
Yeah. Full on.
Nice. That's a great empty slate to have again just
Yeah,
2 weeks after the season has started.
absolutely. Like a kid in a candy store.
So guys, welcome to the second episode of Fantasy and the Premier League. It's me again, Omkar and Prashant. And today we're going to discuss our wildcard teams. We both ended up using our wildcards for game week 3 owing to the price rises and some players hitting form, some surprises, some disappointments. So uh, it seemed like the right decision to use our wildcards. And today we're going to discuss our teams one by one after the other. So let's begin with your team, Prashant. How's it looking? Let's begin with your goalkeepers.
Goalkeepers, I was very confused in the beginning. Should I go for a regular 5 to 5.5 million goalkeeper, or should I go with 4.5? And at the end, I decided I'll not make big investments in goalkeeping. I bought two 4.5 million goalkeepers, which I know will play 90 minutes for 38 games. I had three options in the 4.5 bracket, which were Martinez,
Save the
got transferred
penalty.
from Arsenal to Aston Villa.
Yeah, and
I know
save the
how
penalty on his debut.
I called it first, and I am so pissed at myself that I did not buy him for game week 2 because I knew that what goalkeeper he is. Aston Villa's defense doesn't look so good, but Martinez I think will make them look good. If not clean sheet, then I would definitely get a lot of save points. So
Hmm.
Martinez is my first goalkeeping option, and the other one is Ryan, Matt Ryan from Brighton. Brighton is again one another team which I think have made pretty good progress this season in terms of the recruitments that they did, and Graham Potter has surprised a lot of Potter fans. The progress that they have made is pretty evident in the first two games that they played this season. Against
Hmm.
Chelsea, they were pretty good until Reece James scored that belter. I think Martinez and Ryan, those two are my goalkeeping options. The other one I was in contention was Meslier from Leeds. But I don't think Leeds are going to keep a lot of clean sheets this season. I would suggest if you want to buy any Leeds player, it has to be the attacking options. McCarthy was one another goalkeeper which was in contention in the 4.5 million bracket, but Southampton look very ragged behind in defense. And until they get their senses back, I don't think any investment in Southampton defense is warranted.
Okay, let's move on to your defense now. Uh, how much has the defense changed from the original team that you had?
Not a lot has changed actually. Mm, from the original team, I only have two players who still retain their places, Mitchell and Justin. There is one place that I will be changing. I have Size now, so he will be gone for Vinagre because I need a 4.4 million defender to accommodate one of the forward. So right now I have Reece James from Chelsea.
Yeah.
Reece James has a pretty good run of fixtures, and I think he's going to be the mainstay in the right back position for Chelsea. Aspi, when he comes back fit, should start probably in a in the right of a three-man defense or at left back.
Yeah, most probably.
But James will retain his place for sure. Mitchell and Justin retain their places from the original team I had. Mitchell has been pretty good. I did not expect that from him. I was just keeping him for the bench. But it seems like Crystal Palace are playing well.
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
Justin has given attacking returns in both the game weeks, and his price has increased too to 4.6. I think it is going to increase again tonight. Sorry. And Dunn from Burnley. Burnley keep a lot of clean sheets. Dunn also scored a goal in the fixture against Leicester at 4 million. I think he's one that I picked. I could have picked a better option, but I thought Burnley's defense and at 4 I should go for him.
But
Maybe.
that's an interesting one because Tarkowski's future is not yet sure.
Yeah.
And if he does leave Burnley before
Yeah.
the window closes,
Mm-hmm.
he becomes a very enticing option. Done at
Yeah.
4 million, a Burnley defender. Again,
Yeah.
it's a throwback to a couple of
Mitchell.
seasons ago when you had 4 million defenders from Burnley keeping clean sheets.
Oh yeah. Eric Peters comes into my mind.
Ben Mee.
Ben Me. The only change that I'm going to make is Vinagre for size. Apart
Mhm.
from that, the rest of my defense looks pretty bang on.
You're keeping Vinagre.
I think I'll keep Vinagre because Marcel seemed to be in a lot of pain when they played against City. And
Mhm.
even if Marcel comes back fit, I thought Vinagre played better than Marcel.
Yeah, he's a much more attacking wing back.
Yeah. I'll take my chances with Vinagre. I don't have much options in the 4.4 million bracket. Not
Yeah,
even 4.2. I'm missing zero point 0.1 because of
yeah.
Dele Alli. So yeah, that's my defense right there.
So you have James, you have Vinagre, you have
Mitchell
Justin, you have Mitchell.
and done. If that defense plays in Premier League, they are going to league goals.
Yeah. Yeah, that's you're pretty light on defense actually.
Yeah, very light.
Okay, that means you must have invested a lot in your midfield.
Oh yeah. Oh, midfield. I picked Zaha. I called this out before the season started. Zaha would have a good season this year, and it seemed like that because he had a pretty bad season last year around. I think he scored only 5 goals, and his asking price in the transfer market was 80 million, and he did not live up to that potential last season. And he had a lot of pressure going on because he has made pretty clear to the public that he wants to leave Crystal Palace,
Yeah.
and he had no suitors the whole transfer window, no rumors at all, and he had to do something this season to show how quality of a player he is, and that is why I called it out. And I keep Salah from the original team. Uh, I
Yeah.
was I was confused between Salah and Mane, uh, simply because Mane's price had dropped 11.9, and I think both Mane and Salah would give equal number of points this season. Also, Mane plays better in big games and scores big in big games. Hesitant what to do, but I picked Salah because Salah also has scored a lot against Arsenal. De Bruyne, again, I was confused with who which City midfielder should I pick? Sterling, De Bruyne, Foden. But I saw the Wolves game, and although Sterling played pretty damn good, but all the creativity, all the chances that were created were coming through De Bruyne. I think, he also had a couple of chances where he could have scored those goals pretty easily, but Patricio saved them. So and also because De Bruyne is in a lot of teams, and he is going to give you points. If you don't have him, then your rank gets affected a lot. So yeah, De Bruyne comes into my team. The fourth midfielder is Son. I was confused because I don't think the last match that Spurs played against Southampton, it was due to Harry Kane's and Son's brilliance. It was because Southampton played very bad. Their
Yeah.
defense was existent in that match, and so I was pretty much confused as to if should I pick any Spurs player, or if if it was just a smoke screen.
Mm-hmm.
But I did pick Son because simply because they have a very good fixtures until game week 9. Their next match is against Newcastle, and Son is a captaincy option for the next game week. His price dropped to 8.9, and that is the reason why I picked him. I could very well sell him off after his price increases to 9.1, depending on how well he plays against Newcastle. I might pick either one of the Arsenal midfielder, maybe Willian,
Okay.
or I might pick Havertz. So that is my plan for Son, depending on how well he plays.
Any
Uh,
temptation? Any temptation for Gareth Bale?
no, not at all. None at all. To 10.5. Are you kidding me?
No, he's 9.5.
10.5, I think.
No, he's 9.5. Very similar to Son. And he's classified as a midfielder.
Yeah, that I know. Oh, I thought I saw 10.5. But Bale is injured. He's only going to come back after the international break. We would have to see how well he plays. The Spurs team that he played in, it's not the same Spurs team, and it's not the same manager as well. Fifth midfielder I have is Rodriguez. Rodriguez is just a placeholder for now. I'm not sure who I will buy. I might buy Podence. Mostly I'll buy Podence, but there are other options to consider too. I might also buy Burke, who played centre forward for Sheffield United.
Yeah.
I might pick Burke for to warm up the benches, and I'll go for a third premium centre forward option.
So that leaves you with, I think it leaves you with decent cash for your forwards.
Yeah, it does. Decent cash. Calvert Lewin comes into my team. Oh, again, I did not expect Calvert Lewin to deliver the points that he has because he did not have a very good restart to the season. But neither did the whole Everton team. And I think looking at how well Everton have played, it is a mixture of Ancelotti having a little bit time
Hmm.
to train with all these players and also Rodriguez coming into the fold.
So then who are your forwards as of now?
Calvert Lewin is my first centre forward,
Yeah.
and the second centre forward I have is Jimenez.
Yeah.
Uh, Bulls have a very good fixtures, and Jimenez always gives points. Even against big teams, he gives points.
Yeah.
He's not he's not that sort of player who gives 20, 25 points in a game week, but he would consistently give you 6 to 12 points every game week. He has started this season too quite well, scoring once in each game. With easy fixtures for Wolves, I picked Jimenez in for the second centre forward position in my team.
Yeah. Jimenez is easily the best forward in the EPL, outside the top four teams.
Yeah,
His
absolutely.
performance in the last two seasons has been absolutely outstanding.
My third centre forward option is Bamford as of now. He's a placeholder. I'm most probably going to pick Werner. I'm still hesitant because he hasn't done much. But with Chelsea's fixture, starting with West Brom, he's a captaincy option. And
Yeah.
if he does well, and I don't have it in my team, it will hurt. So I'm going to pick him. Right now, I have Bamford, which again, it is difficult because Bamford I know will score goals too. So it's going to be a little bit difficult, but I might finally give in and buy one.
So I think so yeah, so that's your squad. Yeah.
Yeah, but I might change. I'm going to change three positions for sure. One in defense,
So
one in midfield, and one in attack.
so how are you planning, like, have you made any, is there a plan B if some of these players don't work out in the upcoming 2 or 3 game weeks?
Hmm.
Any other players that you think you're right now maybe unsure about and you'd like to bring them in?
Oh yeah, I do. In defense, I have Robertson from Liverpool, 7 million. I would have to check how I can fit Robertson. But I would rather go for Robertson this season than TA. He has started the season very well, and he looks more match ready than TA. It might change very well. Those two fullbacks are pretty much the same in terms of going forward. So I think Robertson I might pick. After game week 7, I might pick Tierney also from Arsenal.
Yeah.
Once that difficult run of fixtures get over, uh, there are two Arsenal defender options. One is Tierney, and the second one is Gabriel. Um, Gabriel is the tallest among all the Arsenal defenders, and also from the midfield
Mm.
players, midfield and the forward players. And in set pieces, Gabriel will score a lot than than the rest of the Arsenal defenders. So I think Gabriel and Tierney are good Arsenal defensive options after game week 7. Midfielders, what I discussed, I was discussing Sterling in place of De Bruyne, which I just mentioned that De Bruyne looked pretty solid and is surely going to give more points than Sterling, as opposed to what I believed before the start of the season.
Right.
And also because Sterling is going to be um, part of that squad rotation that Pep does every season,
Hmm.
and De Bruyne is going to be the mainstay uh, for City throughout the season, and that is why at 11.5 De Bruyne comes into my team. Do you
Yeah.
use what?
Actually, I used to previously,
Uh-huh.
but now it's become more of a mental note thing,
Acha.
and it's also uh, week by week observing performances and planning accordingly. So yeah,
Mhm.
I used to use the watch list previously, but yeah, not anymore.
Right. I use a watch list, and you know I add and remove the players after every game week from my watch list,
Hmm.
and instead of going through the whole list of players, it's easier for anyone to go to their watch list and decide which players they want to buy.
I think I'm pretty much locked with my wildcard team now. I don't think I'll be making any further changes unless there is any injury news or any unforeseen circumstances with the Carabao Cup happening midweek.
Hmm.
Also, there have been some news reports coming across about new
About new
players
player.
testing positive. Yeah, so I think unless something drastic happens, I'm pretty much set with my wildcard team. I've gone looking at the fixtures and the the players that look to be in good touch, especially in the first two game weeks. I think the thing is with the first few uh, 7 or 8 game weeks in FPL,
Hmm.
the players are also trying to find their form, and there's a lot of up and downs. Some players play well for a couple of matches, have a drastic rise in price, and then sort of plateau over the rest of the season.
Yeah.
So it's I think it's all about just finding which players are hitting form at the right point and getting them in before their overall team selected by increases. So yeah,
Right. Ideally, that is the reason why we wild carded, use the wild card just now.
yeah, and I've been doing this for like 3 years now, where I use my wild card in the third or fourth game week. I remember a couple of seasons ago, I actually used my wild card immediately in the second game week. So yeah, I just feel it's a good strategy to use to just get on the players that are performing well. So yeah, I mean, I looked at my original team, and I had gone with Ramsdale as my goalkeeper, and I spoke a lot about him in the first episode.
Yeah.
Uh, that he's coming into a solid defensive Sheffield United
Sheffield
team, and
United team.
he had a good save percentage at Bournemouth the last season.
Yeah.
But it's been average from him. The first performance, both their games, I think actually Sheffield have been slightly disappointing. Uh,
Right.
both defeats and an away defeat and a home defeat. So
Right.
discouraging signs there. And so yeah, I've gone, and I've also, I don't know, this thing with having a set and forget goalkeeper or keeping rotating between two 4.5 million goalkeepers.
Mm-hmm.
I generally don't like to have just one 4.5 million goalkeeper an and a 4 million goalkeeper who doesn't play. I
Mm-hmm.
generally don't like that. So
Right.
it should either be a a solid goalkeeper who you just have and you don't have to worry about.
Right.
So actually, I was looking at Guaita
Mm-hmm.
from Palace.
Right.
Palace have begun the season really well, and against my expectations, I actually thought they would be quite bad this season. But
Right.
yeah, they've begun really well, and defensively also they look quite good. And Guaita is a decent goalkeeper. He's solid, and at 5.0, like 5 million, he's a solid option to have. You just set
Right.
and forget. At the
Correct.
same time, there's Pickford,
Mm-hmm.
there's Leno. So there
Yeah.
are these 5 million options who were sort of enticing, but
Mm-hmm.
after his penalty save, I had to go and get Martinez. Uh,
Yeah.
it's quite. uh, we actually both of us have the same goalkeepers. I think I also have uh, gotten Martinez and Matt Ryan in. Matt Ryan
You
I
got
really
Matt
like
Ryan.
actually. Huh?
You got Matt Ryan?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Matt Ryan is actually one goalkeeper I really like outside the big teams in EPL. Uh, he seems like a solid goalkeeper who has decent shot saving percentage, and uh, you know, last season was a difficult one for Brighton, also a tricky one. New manager, new playing style coming in. But even before that, Matt Ryan has always had solid defense. So, and I remember a couple of seasons ago, I rotated Matt Ryan and Nick Pope a lot, and it yielded a lot of points.
Yeah.
So, I think I'm going to use the same strategy this time around, where I look to rotate between Matt Ryan and Martinez.
Yeah.
Ma-
And
uh,
by the way, Martinez's price is going to rise.
yeah, his price rise is imminent. I think, and again, Aston Villa have a fixture coming up against Fulham. Fulham
Yeah.
look very uh, distraught, especially in their attack. Apart from Mitrovic, there is absolutely no other player where a goal can come from.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping Aston Villa can keep another clean sheet. So
Mm-hmm.
let's see. And I have Matt Ryan to rotate him with. So that's my goalkeeper situation after removing Ramsdale. I had begun the season in defense. I had begun the season with both Alexander Arnold and Robertson.
Mm-hmm.
As I had said again, as I had said in the first episode, I feel that having both Alexander Arnold and Robertson gives you more value from Liverpool. It's almost like having two good midfielders who will give you 200 points each over the course of the. I still kind of believe in that strategy. I still feel that's a good, solid strategy to go with for the entire season. But as of now, I have removed both of them from my wildcard team,
Mm-hmm.
and it's basically to reinvest some money in midfield.
Yeah.
Everybody's conceding goals. There have been a lot of penalties,
Correct.
and Alexander Arnold has looked a little bit off form. Although
Mm-hmm.
uh, although both of them, Alexander Arnold and Robertson, gave me clean sheet points against the Chelsea game.
And that is
Uh,
thanks to Madison.
but yeah, that is thanks to Christensen and Jorginho's missed penalty.
Yeah.
But yeah, so as of now, I'm removing them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also removing Kyle Walker Peters because Southampton have looked quite.
Yeah.
They they're playing a very high line, which sort of seems like a suicide which they're committing against teams that are playing on the counter. It just doesn't seem uh, like a productive strategy. Although, yeah, I am expecting them to regain form at some point. They're a decent team. They're a good squad,
Yeah.
uh, and especially after the resurgence they had last season,
Yeah.
I'm sure at some point they will regain some form. But as
And
of now,
Hassan
I'm
Otel is
removing
a good
him.
manager.
Sorry.
Hassan Otel is a good manager.
Yeah, he's a good coach, and I'm sure. I mean, these couple of performances won't deter him. I think he'll stick to playing that high line. I think
I
he's
think you'll
trying
be
something.
happier that it has come so early in the season for them. Now
Yeah,
that,
could be.
yeah.
It's just he it's just that a couple of tweaks maybe with getting the defense right. Uh, I think it'll work out for them eventually. So let's see. As of now, I'm removing Walker Peters,
Mm-hmm.
and again the same two players that you have kept from your original squad, James Justin and Tyreek Mitchell. I'm keeping both of them. I had them in my original squad.
Yeah.
Uh, Although Mitchell has been on the bench for both the game weeks, I have lost out on his points. But James Justin has returned in both the game weeks. He looks
Mm-hmm.
like a nailed-on option for Leicester defense. He's
Yeah.
returning with assists as well, so I'm happy with him. I'll keep him.
Right.
So the defense that I'm picking in place of these players, again, even though I have removed Alexander Arnold and Robertson, I still feel that a Liverpool defender is necessary. That's why I've gone with Van Dijk. Uh, Liverpool, although first game against Leeds they conceded 3 goals, but again Van Dijk still gave you attacking return. He does have that odd goal in him, and plus at 6.5, he's owned by around 28% people. So it's sort of like it seems like a compromise. You don't have someone like Alexander Arnold who will give you attacking returns and is
Mm-hmm.
owned by like half the people.
Right.
And Robertson is like at the other end, who, despite giving you attacking returns, he's owned by like 12% people.
Right.
So I think Van Dijk is a good compromise to have. He saves you 1 million if you don't want Alexander Arnold. So I'm going with Van Dijk. I'm
Mm-hmm.
hoping he keeps some clean sheets and get some bonus points probably.
Right.
Then I'm going for size for
Okay.
from Wolves. Uh, Currently is in 10% teams,
Yeah.
and Wolves have a really good uh, 5 solid fixtures coming up,
Right.
and the first 2 game weeks they've shown to be in decent touch. Although the
Mm-hmm.
City gamed, obviously City proved their quality, but
Even in that
the
game,
next.
even in that City game,
Mhm.
Wolves could have outscored City as well. They had very good, decent chances in the second half.
Yeah, yeah. I remember last season they beat City quite comprehensively.
They beat City home and away
Yeah,
last season.
yeah. And then Saiz has returned with attacking points as well. First game week he had a goal and with that clean sheet. So yeah, he seems like a solid option,
Right.
nailed on player to have, and all round just a good Bulls defender to have.
Right.
Then I've gone with Reece James, of course, after that goal against Brighton. And there's this. So I actually uh, ended up analyzing the Liverpool game afterwards again.
Uh-huh.
And so I don't know if you've read about this, but Chelsea have actually signed a defensive coach this season. His name is Anthony Barry,
I have read it.
and yeah. So after he has come in, the first 2 games, although obviously the Chelsea team hasn't gelled up yet, and there are some faults in the defense, and but in general, overall, especially last season, every time there was a situation to defend a set piece,
Mm-hmm.
I was almost certain that this is going to end up in a goal against Chelsea.
Right.
But this season, in the Brighton game and in the first half against Liverpool, Chelsea seemed to be really defending properly, especially the set pieces. They were fine. They were reading the situation properly. Uh, Kurt Zuma and Christensen seemed to be uh, reading where to mark and who to mark, not losing out on players. Even someone like Alonso uh,
Mm-hmm.
was in the right positions at the right time. A lot of headers. Chelsea seem to be winning a lot of headers.
Yeah.
So there seems to be some organization coming in, and I'm sure it will get better with time. And Reece James' performance, especially in the Liverpool game in the second half, after having conceded 2 goals, was actually quite good. It was quite promising because if the Christensen red card had not happened, Chelsea had the game quite going quite according to their plan. It seemed like Chelsea wanted to hit Liverpool on the counter,
Yeah.
and they were quite organized. Liverpool did not get a decent shot on target in the first half before Christensen got the red card.
Yeah.
And if things had gone, if that red card did not happen, I'm sure Chelsea would have at least gotten a draw out of that game.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So I'm actually quite happy with the way defensively things are looking for Chelsea.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I am expecting Reece James to play a lot, for sure. I mean, in a back four, he plays right back, and I think he'll offer really good competition for Azpilicueta. Uh,
Yeah.
Once Chilwell gets fit, I'm pretty sure Azpilicueta will play right back at least in the big games.
Mm-hmm.
But there's another thing that not a lot of Chelsea non-Chelsea fans know, but Reece James can also play in midfield, and he actually played most of the season in midfield when he was Wigan's Player of the Year in Championship.
Uh-huh.
So he can play in midfield. He has that ability. He has played a holding midfielder. Uh, so yeah, I mean he seems like a very bankable player from FPL perspective. And yeah, so I'm keeping Reece James. Then I'm holding on to, as I said, I'm holding on to Tarek Mitchell and James Justin.
Right.
So that's my defense right now.
Pretty solid, man. The defense look good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then I've gone and splashed all my cash on the midfield.
Uh,
I have obviously gone with Kevin De Bruyne. Uh,
uh-huh.
he's absolutely must have for the season. You just cannot be playing FPL without Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just makes that City team tick. Every attacking uh, forward play that City have, everything goes through Kevin De Bruyne. He's on
Right.
free kicks, he's on corners, he's on penalties. So there's
Mm-hmm.
every chance of attacking return
Yeah.
every time Kevin De Bruyne touches the ball. So he's a must-have, absolutely must-have.
Right.
Then I've kept Mohamed Salah from the original team.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think again, as you said with Mane, both of
Yeah.
them have the ability to score a lot in one game,
Yeah.
and it's literally a lottery draw who you decide to go with. I think
Yeah.
either of them is fine. But
Mm-hmm.
again, in terms of percentages, where if you want to catch up on rank,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I mean if Mohamed Salah has a decent game week and you don't have him, your
Mm.
rank will drop a lot. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think it's a slightly safer bet to go with Mohamed Salah, and
Mm.
he scored decently with against Arsenal also. So I'm keeping him as of now.
Cool.
Then of course I've gone with Son. Uh, Scored 4 goals against Southampton, which was sort of a surprise, but then not so surprising looking at the Southampton performance.
Yeah.
But Son looks like a decent option to have. Again, it's Mourinho's second season at a club
Mm-hmm.
where he generally tends to get
Perf-
it right in
Yeah.
the second season at every club he has been. Of course, I've gone with Zaha again. Uh, Seems to have hit a really nice patch of form. I mean, it's just 2 games I know, but his stats, and he's playing striker. He's listed as a
Mhm.
midfielder, but he's been playing as a forward. So
So we have a midfield again.
sorry, sorry.
We have a similar midfield too.
Yeah, I think it's just the defense. I think so far that has been slightly different.
The fifth midfielder that you and me will have is going to be different.
Yeah. So my fifth midfielder as of now is Daniel Podence. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I I I I really like him. Uh, the end of last season, he actually hit some good form, and he looked like a player who is, you know, making that spot his own, about to make his spot his about to make that spot his own. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I had that feeling even before the season began that this could be his season. And yeah, the first two game weeks he's given returns. Looks like he
He, he made De Bruyne before giving that assist to Jimenez.
yeah. He's again. And before the first game week he was owned by only 0.5% players,
Yeah,
and now his ownership has almost touched 4%. But
yeah.
that is still a differential option. I mean, not a lot of people are still looking at him at that bracket. Of course, there's a lot of other players. Saint Maximan still seems to be the highest owned 5.5 million player, but he hasn't performed in the first two game weeks. Plus,
Mm.
Newcastle have signed Ryan Fraser, uh, so he has competition there. Uh, Although in my original team I had gone with Almiron as a, it was just a, I was just taking a gamble with him,
Mm-hmm.
and he did give me an assist in the first game week, but the second match he didn't perform. He came off the bench and just gave me a single point. But yeah,
Yeah,
so I've removed him and I've gone for Podence, and I hope, because Wolves again have really good fixtures coming up, so I hope Podence give me some returns.
yeah.
So yeah, my midfield looks quite solid. I've invested almost all of my money in midfield, where
Mm-hmm.
it's Salah, De Bruyne, Son, Zaha, and Podence.
Right. That seems to be a solid midfield.
Yeah, and then I have options. I mean, I can always. I mean, I'm still. Mm, there's Bruno Fernandes and Rashford, and in all of this, this whole wildcard thing, and uh, owing to Arsenal having difficult fixtures, we seem to be forgetting about Aubameyang, and
Mm-hmm.
he could still very well prove us all wrong and give decent attacking returns in the same four upcoming game weeks. Uh,
He might.
yeah, so but still, just looking at the form and the fixtures, uh, right now I'm not keeping Aubameyang.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I think as of now, Son looks like the first player who might go if I had to get in any of these three players. That is Fernandes or Rashford or uh, Aubameyang.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I think Daniel Podence, I will trust him for the next 5 game weeks. Zaha and Crystal Palace both look to be playing really good football, and they have an unbelievably good run of fixtures right up till
Yeah,
game week 17. Uh,
yeah.
so yeah, it looks like Zaha could be a season keeper this time
Right.
around. Again, of course, there's James Rodriguez, uh, which I'm still tempted to have. He does seem like he's enjoying his football and he could have a really good season. Uh,
Mm.
but because I'm going with Calvert Lewin uh, in attack, I think I'll hold off on getting Rodriguez for a while. But I can always switch to Rodriguez from Son or from Zaha. So yeah, Calvert Lewin is one of my forwards, and the second forward I'm going with is Timo Werner. Uh, his price is about to drop. Uh, it's quite surprising. His
Mm.
performances in both the games have been actually quite good. Second game
Yeah.
against Liverpool, he actually played a lot wider on the left, and Kai Havertz was actually playing almost like a false nine in the first half.
Mm.
But once Christensen got the red card, uh, Havertz was taken off, and then Werner had to again sort of play little centrally, but
Yeah.
he still got that run. He still got that penalty, which Jorginho did not convert. But yeah, if he's gotten a penalty in both the games, and now that Chelsea have a decent run of fixtures coming up, West Brom have
Mm.
not looked good defensively in both the games. So I'm sure Chelsea will score some goals in that game. And Werner looks like he will have his first Chelsea goal in that game. Then
Uh,
uh, Chelsea are again then playing Crystal Palace at home. Uh, although Palace look good defensively, but I expect Chelsea to win that game. And then Chelsea play Southampton at home again, which again Southampton playing that high line against Werner, making those runs, early runs. Good chance for Werner to score some goals. So yeah, I am keeping Timo Werner as of now. With his price
mhm.
dropping, uh, uh, I'm sure it will help me uh, gain some rank. So yeah, and the third forward is a bench option as of now. Uh, I'm trying to be a little cheeky here. I've gone for Ryan Brewster of Liverpool.
Nice.
I'm hoping that he gets a transfer to another Premier League club. Uh,
Yeah.
so then I have a 4.5 million playing forward. I don't mind if he goes to any club. Uh, it'll be because I'm sure whichever club he goes, he will get some playing time.
Sheffield is looking for a striker.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. It'll be a good option to have. Imagine Sheffield having two 4.5 million forwards playing for them.
I know, bro. What a dream.
But yeah, I'm hoping Brewster gets a transfer because obviously I didn't want to waste a transfer later on a 4.5 million forward.
Yeah.
So I thought as might as well get him now on the wild card. Yeah, so that's my team as of now, and I I I I think it seems fine at least for the next few game weeks.
Hmm.
Now that I've used my wild card, now it's going to be all about being patient with the players and uh, hoping that teams regain fitness. Uh,
Yeah.
there's more gelling in the way teams play, the strategies coming
Hmm.
together. Uh, I'm sure there will be some more surprises. Uh, Even with the wild card, I'm sure there will be some disappointments as well.
Yeah.
So uh, for uh, till the point we get to use the next wild card, now it's going to be all about being patient and holding off on the transfers, not taking too many points hits. Even if
Yeah.
even if you have a bad game week, it's okay. The same players can give you a really good game week next time. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Is a is a very big virtue here.
yeah, yeah. It's a long season. It's just been 2 games,
Yeah.
36 games to go. A lot can happen. So yeah,
Yeah.
so those are our wildcard teams. This episode has gone on for a bit longer than the previous one.
Let's
So
see.
let's hope we catch up soon. And I think now we can wait for the international break to get over.
Yeah.
Then we can
After
then we
this week, there is international week, right?
sorry.
After game week three, international week, right?
I think after game week 4.
Acha. Cool.
Yeah. So I think we'll have four game weeks to analyze over the international break. Uh, I think we can do the next episode where we'll talk about uh, which players have sort of surprised, which players look to be slightly disappointing, which teams
Mm-hmm.
seem to be having a good beginning to their season. So from a footballing perspective and less from a fantasy perspective, I think we'll talk about football.
Yeah, yeah. After the transfer window gets over, the next podcast we'll do is about analyzing all the teams and the squads they have.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's Yeah, there'll be a lot to talk about.
Yeah, that is going to be a huge episode.
All right.
Cool.
Yeah, this was fun. Chalo.
Let's hope our white hat teams work then. Bye bye.
Yeah, yeah. Bye.